So last night, I tried to reason with my almost 3-year-old about eating lentils. And here's the crazy part, it actually worked. I know, I didn't believe it either. Last night reminded me that beneath the chaos, the stubborn no's, and the daily power struggles, toddlers are actually paying attention in ways we don't always see. When I slowed down, explained instead of commanded, and gave my almost 3-year-old a real choice, he rose to it. Not perfectly, not forever, but in that moment. And that tiny win mattered. It wasn't about lentils or apples. It was about respect, trust, and realizing that these little humans are capable of more thought and understanding than we give them credit for. Some days will still be loud and messy and exhausting, but days like this are proof that patience and connection can turn into something that feels a lot like magic. Relatable setup. Look, if you have a toddler, you know that trying to reason with them is usually like trying to negotiate a peace treaty with a tiny, irrational dictator who's had way too much sugar and not enough sleep. They don't want logic. They want chaos. They want to wear rain boots to bed and eat crackers for dinner and scream "no" at the universe just to see what happens. Most days, my son eats like a champ, like genuinely impressive, but every now and then he'll look at a plate of food he's eaten 100 times, and act like I've just served him a bowl of poisonous gravel. The drama is Olympic level. We're talking full body resistance, the works, and I get it. Toddlers are learning autonomy. They're figuring out they're separate people with opinions and preferences. It's developmentally appropriate. It's also exhausting. The Lentil Story. So here's what happened. Dinner time. I made lentils, ham, vegetables, nothing wild, just a regular Tuesday night meal. I put the plate down, and my son immediately zeroes in on the lentils like they've personally offended him. I don't want these. And I'm tired, right? It's been a long day. Part of me is tempted to just say, fine, don't eat them, and move on with my life. But something in me decides to try a different approach. I sit down next to him, and I say very calmly, you don't have to eat them, but you do have to try them. Now, to a toddler, this is basically a philosophical paradox. He looks at me like I've just asked him to solve quantum physics, and then the negotiation begins. I don't like them. You haven't tried them yet, but I don't want to try them. I know, but just one bite, then you can decide. This goes on for about 5 minutes. 5 minutes of him staring at the lentils like they're his mortal enemy. 5 minutes of him testing every possible angle to get out of this. At one point, I swear he was building a legal case in his head, and then he picks up the spoon, takes the tiniest, most reluctant bite you've ever seen, chews it like he's doing me the biggest favor in the world, pauses, and then eats the entire plate. I'm sitting there trying not to react too much because I don't want to jinx it, but inside I'm like, did that just happen? Did reasoning actually work? The snack story. Fast forward to the next morning. Snack time. I give him apple slices, but they're cut a little differently than usual. Thinner, different shape, whatever. He takes one look and goes, I don't want this. And here's where it gets interesting. Instead of launching into another 5-minute debate, I just calmly say, remember yesterday? With the lentils? You didn't think you'd like them, but then you tried them and you loved them. Maybe this is the same. I watch his little brain working. You can actually see him thinking. He's remembering, he's processing, he's connecting the dots. And then, I kid you not, he picks up the apple, takes a bite, and eats the whole thing. No drama, no power struggle, just reasoning. I almost cried, like genuinely. Because for a second there, I realized he's not just a tiny chaos agent, he's a person. A small person who can think and remember and learn from experience. And when I treated him like that, when I gave him respect and logic instead of just rules and power, he responded. Insight and reflection. Here's the thing we forget sometimes. Toddlers are way smarter than we give them credit for. Yes, they're irrational. Yes, they have meltdowns over the color of their cup. But they're also constantly learning, constantly observing, constantly trying to make sense of the world. And when we take the time to explain things, when we treat them like tiny humans with thoughts and feelings instead of just little rule breakers we need to control, they often surprise us. I'm not saying reasoning works every time. Let's be real. Tomorrow, he might throw the lentils on the floor and laugh maniacally. That's toddlerhood. But in that moment, it worked because I gave him something important: respect. I didn't force him. I didn't bribe him. I didn't turn it into a battle. I just explained, gave him a boundary, and let him make the choice. And toddlers, they love feeling like they have a choice. Even if the choice is try it or don't eat it, that sense of autonomy matters to them. It makes them feel safe. It makes them feel seen. Plus, they have memories like elephants. Seriously, they'll forget where they put their shoes 5 seconds ago, but they'll remember that one time you promised ice cream and didn't deliver. So when you remind them of a past experience where something worked out, like the lentils, they can actually use that information. Exaggerated examples. I swear, sometimes toddlers are like tiny philosophy majors who've had way too much espresso. They'll argue with you about the concept of bedtime. They'll question the very fabric of reality if you tell them the sky is blue, when they think it's more of a light blue with hints of white. Or they're like miniature lawyers. You said I could have a snack after lunch. You didn't specify how long after lunch. Therefore, I'm entitled to 17 crackers immediately. You can't win, but maybe that's the point. Maybe we're not supposed to win. Maybe we're just supposed to show up, listen, explain, and hope they remember it the next time we're debating whether socks are optional emotional payoff. That night, after he went to bed, I just sat there for a minute thinking about it, about how proud I felt. Not of myself, really, but of him. Of this little person who's learning to trust, to try new things, to think for himself. Parenting has so many hard days. Days where nothing works and everyone's crying and you feel like you're failing at everything. But then you get these tiny moments, these quiet wins, where you realize, okay, maybe I'm doing something right. Maybe he's going to be okay. Maybe we're going to be okay. And honestly, that feeling is everything. Soft takeaway. So if you're in the thick of toddlerhood right now, and it feels like every meal is a negotiation and every bedtime is a battle, just know that they're listening, even when it doesn't seem like it. Even when they're throwing food or screaming no for the 15th time, try reasoning with them. Not because it'll work every time, but because it might work sometimes. And those sometimes, they add up. Treat them like the smart, capable little people they are. Give them respect. Give them choices. Give them a chance to surprise you, because they will. And when they do, it's magic. Anyway, that's my parenting win for the week. Tomorrow he'll probably refuse lentils again, and I'll be back to square one. But for today, I'll take it. Thanks for being here. You're doing great.